Hello everyone, Chantal here again. It's weekend, another time for Inner Bloom on Shanty Bloom. In this video of today, we're going to be looking at how to stop grumbling and complaining. Every day we are faced with situations that leave us with a tendency to grumble and to complain. And that's why there's a lot of grumbling and complaining going on around us. There's grumbling and complaining going on in the church, going on in our families. We grumble and we complain about our God, about our lives, about our community. And in 2020, the grumbling and complaining is a global one. And one of the main reasons why we grumble and we complain is because we are discontented with the situation we find ourselves in. We are not satisfied with it, so we grumble and we complain. And these situations could range from very big and serious things to very small everyday disappointments, like being stuck in traffic, or the line at the grocery store is just too long, it's too rainy, it's too sunny, it's too hot, it's too cold. You know, when that present situation is not the type or in the way that we want it, we have the tendency to grumble and to complain. Let us look at Numbers chapter 21 verses 5. And they began to speak against God and Moses. Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die here in the wilderness? They complained. There is nothing to eat here and nothing to drink, and we hate this horrible manna. Philippians chapter 2 verse 14. Do everything without complaining and arguing. From this verse, we can clearly see that the children of Israel grumbled about God. They grumbled and they complained about Moses on their way from Egypt to the promised land because of discontentment. And many times when we grumble and we complain is because of discontentment. And I feel that if we can dig in and see the reason behind, find out the reason behind our discontentment, that will help us to stop grumbling and complaining. One of those reasons is that we forget our past victories. The children of Israel were singing and dancing one moment about, oh, God has drowned Pharaoh and his army in the sea. And the very next minute, they forgot about that victory. They forgot to hold on to that testimony when they were found in difficult situations. Many times we forget to hold on to those past victories and then we start to grumble and complain. But as we saw in Philippians chapter 2, we are called to do everything without complaining and without grumbling. Let's remember that God only moves us from glory to glory. So if yesterday was victorious, even though we are faced with a difficult situation today, we will only have better things ahead because He only walks from glory to glory. And He's a God that when He starts a good thing in us, He always finishes it. The next thing that can really help us to stop grumbling and complaining is if we try to focus more on our needs and not our wants. We're living in a world that is trying to turn all our wants into needs, right? You have your needs, but then you will say, oh, you need this, you need this, you need this. And after you have collected all those things, you say, oh, you need that one, and then that one again, and that one. And those needs just keep piling. And when they pile, it just brings us to the place of dissatisfaction. We begin to feel so dissatisfied about our lives, and then we grumble and we complain. And this does not mean that we should settle for less and not be ambitious in life. Contentment is not the opposite of ambition. All I'm saying is that even if you're ambitious in life and you're going on your journey, do so from the place of contentment. That way you are left with joy and peace and you will enjoy the process. If we do so from the place of discontentment, which comes from turning all our wants into needs and falling short, then we are left with what? Grumbling and complaining. And that kind of a journey will be very miserable and overwhelming. Another way to deal with grumbling and complaining is if we redirect our thoughts towards the solution and not dwell on the problem for so long. I say this because just expressing dissatisfaction for a situation in itself is not bad. For example, I could order something and it comes in the mail, and when I open the box, I'm like, you know what? I don't really like this thing, you know. It has this complaint, it has this. At that moment, I'm complaining, I'm expressing dissatisfaction for that thing, and that in itself is not a problem. I could be stuck in traffic and I express dissatisfaction for the fact that I'm stuck in traffic. Let's say you were stuck in that traffic heading to work, right? immediately you realize it is human to feel a little bit anxious because you're thinking, oh my goodness, I may be late for work. But if you dwell on that thought for so long and you grumble and you complain, you may start to drive wrong, you may get into a road rage, you may even get to work and start your day on a bad note. But after acknowledging the fact that you're stuck in traffic, if you immediately redirect your thoughts towards a solution, the next thing you may be doing sitting in that car is thinking, could I get off that next exit ahead? Maybe I would be able to take another route to work. Do I have to make a quick call to make somebody know I'll be running late? The moment you think of solutions and you start to apply them, for some reason that anxiety kind of goes down and you begin to think straight. It will not lead you to an action that you will regret later. I think this has been very helpful to me, that when I'm faced with a situation where I find myself grumbling and complaining, I immediately tell myself, what can I do in this situation? I brainstorm and try to find the solution. When I redirect my thought towards the solution, all that energy that was used for grumbling and complaining, all that energy is now used to think and what are the solutions, what can be done to change this situation or to bring some answers into this situation. And if you're that person feeling that, well, what I am going through, my own situation is just so terrible that humanly speaking, I cannot think of a solution, remember that the Bible tells us to cast our cares upon the Lord because He cares for us. God cares for you. He has a good plan for you, a plan to give you an expected end. So cast your cares upon Him. And I understand many times it's either we do not believe that He cares for us and that's why we hold on to those things, or we believe and we cast it down and then we pick it up again. I've been there where I cast my cares upon the Lord. I feel so free and I'm so happy from within, saying, God, I know you are in control. I know that you have a good plan for me. But then after a while, when we feel that it tarries, we feel like it's not going the way that we wanted. Well, God's ways are really not our ways and we want things our way. There's that tendency to pick it up again. Put it in our hands, look at it, grumble and complain. And before we know it, we are heavy laden again, with the burden of that situation. It's an encouragement for us. In order to stop grumbling and complaining, let us learn to cast our burdens upon the Lord and to leave it there. And finally, I would encourage us to stay away from the company of chronic grumblers and complainers, because that kind of a company constantly puts your heart in the place of grumbling and complaining as well. Things like that will make you reach back to the cross and pick up that burden that you had laid it down, and you'll find yourself carrying it up again. So try to keep with company of people who are hopeful, who speak the things that be not as though they were. Remember, this is not a call for us to deny our emotions or our situations. You will acknowledge how you feel, what you think, what is going on. But remember, quickly direct your thoughts towards the solution and not dwell in that place of continuous grumbling and complaining. It does not only overwhelm you, but it overwhelms the people around you. And most especially, it hurts the heart of God, because it's like you questioning God or telling Him that He does not know what is best for you. So my beautiful people, let us strive to keep grumbling and complaining away from our lives, because this will help us to bloom on the inside. And remember, when we bloom from the inside out, we do not only survive, but we thrive and we flourish. Thank you all so much for watching. So please like, share, and do not forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. Have a great weekend and see you in the next video.